There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name. Well, technically it's our first.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Supercheap Auto East Coast V8 Series, Season 10. The final round coming to you live from the one and only Winton Motor Raceway at Winton, just north of Benalla in central Victoria. A humble little place, not too far down the road from myself. Already been here once this season to watch the Great Madison Down race in the New South Wales Production Series in real life. And looking forward to seeing what these boys can do here tonight with our East Coast race. Let's have a quick look at the track. It's a very short, pokey little thing in the middle of central Victoria. And we start on the new pit lane straight complex, head down into the S's through turn 1 and 2, where we sweep up the hill at 2, past the viewing area on the grass, past the old pits, down into turn 3. We then continue heading downhill into turn 4 into Coates Corner, where we then sweep around through 5, through the big sweeper, and then we have the great change of direction through Rollover Corner, where the guys then have to pull it up into Penrite at number 7. We then come down around the tree at 8, and then up through Truck Assist Corner at 9, very tight, twisty part and slow speed complex through 7, 8, 9. Then accelerate the car down the turn 10, pull it up, and then we accelerate it again, heading down the Hyundai Corner. There we go through the double apex of 11 and 12, back onto the pit lane straight, and get going again. It's a short track, as I said. Best times you're looking at is about a minute 18 flat. So I'm interested what these boys can do tonight. And with me, of course, I have Mark Duggan. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, good, John. Good to be here. Tight, twisty little track. Always provides some pretty tough racing. Yeah, I've never had a lot of luck around here myself racing here, but it's always enjoyable, and qualifying will be the key tonight.
Definitely. Only a small field. We've only got 15 cars this evening, which is to be expected, being the end of a long season, and talking with a few of the lads, a little bit of burnout from doing 3 race series, or 4 race series if you're a vet, at the Jerez last week. So a few tired boys, and if they're not in the hunt for the points, they haven't turned up. It's quite understandable. Let's have a look at the points as well, considering we're coming into the final round, and I can't do any drop rounds tonight. So we have a quick look. Overall leader, of course, is James Scott. He's with us tonight. Scott Gamble's on track as well. And then we drop down into Jacob O'Reilly sitting in 3rd. Quite comfortable ahead of Anthony Visma, Timmy Mulford, Troy Stonestreet, Alan Dawson, John Fillingham, Steve Tonkin, Dave Coleman round out the top 10. But when we pull everybody out and just go to our classes, wrong one, sorry, go to the classes, the pro guys is James Scott from Lobs, comfortably ahead of James Scott Gamble from 95 Sim Sports. Jacob O'Reilly 31 points behind in 3rd, and then after that it is Anthony Visma ahead of Alan Dawson, Brenton Hobson, Dylan Rudd, Zach Trey White, Zach Lastbomb, Troy Ty Delaney in 10. And we roll over now, have a look at the Super 2s. Troy Stonestreet 1586, he's got himself 10 points ahead of Timmy Mulford. Timmy not in the server yet this evening, so that could be a big gameplay for the Super 2 Championship. Dave Coleman is only roughly 63 points behind, sitting in 3rd. Steve Tompkins, JWM Sim Sports entry in 4th, the 10 points further back. John Fillingham in 5th. Reg James not with us from moving house at the moment. Matt Shanahan in 7th, Veterans Gaming Australia. Greg Sharp, Aidan Kale, Dean Flavell round out our top 10. And in the vets category, it is Scott Gamble with a clear and definite lead, well ahead of Stonestreet. Fillingham a further 40 points behind in 3rd. So I think we won't see too many changes in the vets table tonight. I think we might see Coleman push himself up into 2nd with Mulford being away. And in our Pro 1, I think Scott Gamble's pretty much got it sewn up. So that could also explain why a few boys are missing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like you said, been a long season for a lot of the drivers. Yeah, people make a fairly big commitment to do all the series that they run in. Takes a lot of effort, a lot of practice, and yeah, no surprises that the field's small, but it is quality, which is great. Surprised to see, not so much surprised, but good to see Alan Dawson doing so well. He's turned up every week, and he's had a little bit of bad luck, but overall he's driven pretty well, and good to see him up there in the championship. Yeah, just look forward to some good, clean racing tonight, and yeah, strategy and, like you said, qualifying will be everything.
Tight, twisty track, hard to pass, but you need to set a good time. As we jump on board here, Zachary Vlasbaum heading down the Coates corner. See the flow of the circuit. You've really got to hit these apexes very well. Use all the curb. Be careful. Some curbs can be hard and aggressive. This is this low section around the tree. Very technical section for the cars to get right. You can lose a lot of time through here and get a lot of tyre wear as we hear Zachary full throttle. A retro white in front, a set of purple sector, 2 purple sectors. So keep an eye on him in this final sector. Turn 12 past the famous Gunter corner. As Jacob O'Reilly goes on to pole, Retro White 2nd, Vlasbaum, who we just rode on board with, drops to 4th. Hobson jumps to pole. Let's have a look. Where's James Scott? James Scott's in pit lane, so not sure what the GO is there. Work that one out a bit later. Find someone on track. Hobson, no. Sitting as our pole man. He'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, good luck from Brenton. No surprises. He is very old hand at this stuff and always turns up and races well. Had a pretty tough season in parts, but overall he's driven solidly throughout the season. Missed a few rounds due to work commitments, but doing a great job out there. Jacob O'Reilly, another one who's been consistent in his showing up, setting a good time as well. Not a lot in it, only a few hundreds in that, so still a lot to play for. We've still got 11 minutes to go, so the boys have still got time to get another couple of hot laps in.
Plenty of time left as Hobson. Pretty impressed with that. A little bit of marking on the side of the car. Not sure how he's got that scraped off. I'm sure we'll find out shortly. It's Freeman running the Freo YouTube entry. He's ducking into the pits as well. Mahoney. He might be on an in-lap. Just no time from Scott or Rudd.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether they're still in the server.
I was just thinking that. You boys starting to roll back out on an out lap. McMahon saying Hobbo copped a whack on a re-entry. The boob area.
There's still no sign of James Scott or Dylan Rudd.
That will make the points contest a little bit interesting. James, of course, already has lost 2 drop rounds. They could potentially give the series to Scott Gamble. Scott Gamble, of course, is only 7 points behind. So run no drop round for the final round here. So it makes it easy for us to do the mental arithmetics that need doing. So very interesting. So let's get back on focus on a few of these other guys. So I'm trying to click a few things around. Yes, Thomas Freeman is running the solo entry still. And continuing on, trying to find Hobbo, Jacob O'Reilly. He's on a hot lap. He's looking to get that 500ths of a second to catch up to Hobson. Don't underestimate the Vermeulen Motorsport guys at the moment as O'Reilly goes pink first sector. He has lit the wick here, I think, Mark.
Yeah, Jacob's been, he's had a couple of tough rounds. He's been very, very good last season and early on this season. Had a tough couple of rounds in the middle of the season here, but bounced back nicely last week and looking the goods tonight as well.
They're looking very smart. Sponsored by Doing OK. This boys run by Ben Faulkner. See what O'Reilly can do. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, when I say a tough couple of rounds, when that's he's kind of finishing 6th instead of 3rd or something. So, by no means has he been out of the hunt of anything. Just a little bit of bad luck here and there, and probably a little bit of strategy hasn't quite gone his way. But yeah, certainly not finishing, in the depths of the pack, just at the middle of the top 10. So still quality results.
Yeah, very much done well. He's gotten himself the jump on Hobson. Retro White still sitting in 3rd. Scott Gamble in 5th. You're looking for a bag full of points here, particularly if James Scott doesn't turn up. And James in the chat. How are we, James? Of course, if James can't set a time, can't get himself on track, Gamble will need to finish, I would say probably about 38th. Definitely playing the long game, saying in the chat that it's a long race tonight. He's just having a rest. Understandable. So he's got Gamble in the lane. So a few others going out on track at the moment. Here's Stonestreet, sitting in 12th. Running tactics by the Lobs boys. I like it. Might make for an interesting couple of first laps.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and not surprising. Like we said earlier, some of these boys have had an extremely long season, extremely long half a year so far. It's quite relentless the amount of racing they're doing. So, not surprised that people are feeling a little bit weary.
Of course, last week, I think the boys were here doing SRW. Sunday, I think, did Jerez. And we did Jerez on Tuesday. Pro Series did Jerez on Wednesday. Vets did Jerez on Thursday. And then, of course, Scops did Jerez on Sunday night. So I think you boys had definitely done a few laps last week as well. So not surprised. Let's have a look at DC. Dave Coleman. Hobson, might jump on him real quick. He is flying. 2 pink sectors. Might be about to see the SSR entry of Hobson back on P1 here. Goes green in his second last sector. The final sector now. 2 corners to negotiate. Out of turn 12, a little loose, collects it up. And Hobson does a cracking job with a 1:18.339. He'd be pretty chuffed for that.
About 3 minutes to go. Hobson jumps to pole position over Jacob O'Reilly, followed by Zach Rattray Wyatt. Thomas Freeman doing a good job out there as a privateer in P4, then Scotty Gamble in P5, Zach Glassbomb, Joe Mahoney, Dave Coleman, Aidan Cale, Ty Delaney, Alan Dawson, 3 Stonestreet, Steve Tonkin. So, and then James Scott, Dylan Rudd still yet to set a time.
Yeah, saving engine hours, I'm being told. Well, certainly these Lobs boys do. Of course, 12 minutes 22 gone, so not long left in this session, only 2.5 minutes before the checkered flag comes out. Gamble on a quicker lap here, looking to try and get himself as much space as he can between the 2 Lobs boys at the back.
Yeah, Scotty, I think, had probably his toughest race last week at Jerez. Had good speed, but just got caught up in a couple of incidents and ended up with a drive-through penalty, and probably just didn't quite pan out the way he wanted that race, and probably opened that margin up a bit more than what he would have hoped for. So hopefully Scotty can get back on track tonight and get back to the results we're used to seeing from him.
And O'Reilly just knocked Hobson off again. So O'Reilly now holding P1. Campbell's got himself to P4.
A nice little battle up front there for pole position with O'Reilly and Hobson trading blows lap after lap.
Yeah, definitely very, very busy. And of course, the Super 2 boys, Dave Coleman on pole with those guys at the moment, sitting in 8th. Aidan Cale in 9th. Championship leader Troy Stonestreet sitting 12th. Steve Tonkin in 13th. Stonestreet would know he's just got to finish tonight without Mulford being here. So just basically got to finish, we earn enough points to stay in front of Coleman still. So that battle will be interesting to watch.
And Dave just bins it into the wall, so he's probably not going to get another lap in now with 14.5 minutes almost gone.
Ooh, snaps it at Coates. That is a big off from Mr. Coleman there. You're not adopting the James Scott method of cost saving. Alan Dawson going across the line. Does he improve? He stays in P11. Freeman's our next man. He doesn't have a quicker time on the board here. Heading down the lane. Last bomb gets across, I think, just after the clock shuts. Hobson may be on a lap still. Riley in the pit. Hobson goes yellow in second section. Rattray White. Rattray White's probably the one to watch at the moment. On yellow as well.
Yeah, I think both these boys are backed out of this one.
Yep. Delaney's on his way back in. I think the boys are all rolling back in. I think that is qualifying done and run. And these boys just making their way back to the pit lane. Once they all get back, we'll run through the grid. Plenty of time tonight. Get off. And we will get final race of the season under the way. Soon crown our champion. Waiting for these last couple of cars to get themselves in. Let's have a look at the grid for you guys. So on pole, we have Jacob O'Reilly from Motorsports for 118. Up alongside him is Brenton Hobson from second, but then go to the second row where we see Rattray White from Motorsports. Beside him is Sims. Scott. Third row, we see Thomas Freeman. I need to up off from Privateer. Alongside him is Vermeulen Glassbomb. Mahoney from BE Electrical Race on Oz in seventh, lines up alongside our leading setup for our Super 2 boys, David Coleman from Motorsport. The next row back, Aidan Cale from BE Electrical Race on Oz lines up alongside, Ty Delaney from Motorsports. Then on the sixth row, we have Alan Dawson from Right Sim Racing. Lines up alongside Stonestreet from WK&P. And then after that, we have, of course, final guys on the grid. That will be, of course, Steve Tonkin from JWM Esports, and he's going to line up alongside James Scott. 15th will be Dylan Rudd on the back row. Roll is Matt McMahon. Definitely going to be lining up on this one and getting it there. Always say my mic is cutting in and out. What's going on there? Hopefully that's a bit better. Yep, is that better? Well, let me know.
Yeah, it definitely sounds alright on my end, but it could be different on the channels. But
yep.
Yeah, it looks like James Scott and Dylan Rudd have definitely gridded up at the rear, so expect them to tiptoe their way around for this first lap and then start to make their way forward.
As we get ready for starting here, we've got another 40 seconds before this race gets going. So I'd be saying keep a close eye out in the back of the pack in this first lap for Scott and Rudd. They'll be looking to make their way through very quickly. They'll be looking at targeting, at least getting Gamble, sure, the championship. And it will be, I think, a great start. Let's pick a camera. Keep an eye on it. Small field, but tight track. 67 laps, 2 compulsory pit stops. These boys are going to have their work cut out for them this evening as we are about to go racing. Jacob O'Reilly on the front row from Hobson. Let's see if you can get a good start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lights are out. Great start from Hobson. He's got the jump. Can he hold it to turn 1? Gamble coming with him. Don't forget, yes is outside, inside. Gamble pulls that one back a little bit, but it is Hobson that gets the clear getaway. And Rattray White covers off Gamble very quickly there, 2 wide behind, but we'll keep running through as it is Hobson, Riley, Rattray White, Gamble, Vlasbom. Bit of a battle a little bit further back behind Vlasbom at the moment, where we have Dave Coleman, Thomas Freeman, and it looks like
Ty
Delaney, yep, getting in amongst the action. So definitely a few boys moving. James Scott already up 4 spots into 10th. And a bit of light flashing going on from Freeman, so not sure, too happy about something there. DC getting on the outside, dropping in behind. But Hobson's had a great little jump here. He'd be pretty happy with this.
Yeah, nice start from Brenton. Not too unexpected, plenty of experience, but O'Reilly and Blussbomb got away nicely as well. So James Scott, Dylan Rudd already making their way through the field, and already up to
P9.
P9 already, so not bad effort for the first lap and on this tight twisty circuit. And
he's got the paint on both sides of the car as well, so that is a fair effort in itself as he pulls up alongside Ty Delaney, shows the nose. Delaney gives him a little bit of room. We'll set him up for Coates, and through goes James Scott. A great little start. And Joe Mahoney, of course, he's putting a lot of pressure on Delaney now and coming under fire from Dylan Rudd.
Big dive there from Dylan, locked the fronts a little bit, but managed to pick up 2 spots in one move without actually doing any damage to anybody other than maybe a little bit of a flat spot on his tyre, but pretty good move there. So he's followed James Scott pretty much all the way through the field so far.
As James now tucked up in 8th behind Dave Coleman in 7th. Dave leading the Super 2 drivers. So these guys dropped back by a second a little bit. Glassbomb leading the charge in front here. Hobson still under pressure from O'Reilly and Rattray White, but Hobson still setting good times. And 1:19.438, so 1/10 quicker than Scott. Riding on with Rudd at the moment, watching his teammate just try to move on Coleman.
Last one runs wide, and that allows Freeman through.
Coleman pushed out there in the weeds. If he can get some action, and I think our race leader Dave Coleman popped out in the wrong spot. He's back where he needs to be. Definitely out in the grass there, I think, confusing SDK. Dylan Rudd nicely tucked in behind here. His teammate James Scott. We might just go back, have a look at that DC incident.
Yeah, there was hardly anything in that. I was surprised to see him exit the track like that, but yeah, bad luck for Dave.
Managed to get it under control eventually, all the way out into the middle of the circuit. Realising he's got to bring it all the way back to get it on. What do I do? What do I do? That one doesn't help, and eventually gets himself going again. As you can see, James Scott's got past Glassbomb. Here comes Dylan up the inside, side-by-side action. And Rudd gets through as well. Of course, the boys up front starting to spread out a little bit now. They're probably about 3 or 4 seconds up the road from Scott. And Hobson nicely holding off O'Reilly and Rattray White. Gamble hanging on to the back of this group. A long way to go. It's only lap 4 of 67. 2 compulsory pit stops.
Yeah, still plenty of laps to go. James Scott now making his way up towards the rear wing of Thomas Freeman. Thomas will not give away anything too easy, I wouldn't think.
Thomas doesn't make it easy. Fights for every position that he can hang on to. Jump back there, there's Thomas. James going straight through, lets him go, yeah.
Thomas not interested in fighting too hard, just concentrating on his own race.
Yeah, probably a smart way to play it.
If there's one car you want to follow on loan from, it would be James Scott, so I would imagine if you can manage to hang on and keep up with him.
Yeah, that would be the man you'd want to be hanging on to. Just going to go back, a little bit of a battle here with Mahoney, Stonestreet and Dawson.
Steve Tonkin in this one as well, so these boys are nose to tail at the moment. So many changes of direction on this track, which the V8 really loves to do in short periods of time.
It's one of those tracks where these boys will definitely be feeling it at the end of it. Don't get much time to do anything apart from keep your hands on the wheels, changing gears and turning. As Rudd gets past Freeman doing the same thing.
Maybe just reading between the lines here with Thomas, it's probably more a fact that he doesn't want to interfere in the championship battle. Probably just allowing the Lob boys to get on with their racing, enjoy their championship battle with Scotty Gamble.
And James Scott now, of course, only a second behind Gamble. So he's definitely closing that gap down very quickly.
So yeah, the best lap so far is James Scott, which is not unusual, but James is the only one that has been in the 18s under race pace. So this goes to show you that he is contesting this like he would any other race and racing extremely hard, even though he started from the rear of the grid, and he's up 9 places already, and same with his teammate Dylan Rudd.
About to latch onto the back of Scotty Gamble here, move himself up into 4th. Track temp is only 25 degrees, so it's not super hot. Making it a bit easier for these boys tonight. And of course, it is only 19 degrees ambient temperature. So we are at the end of autumn, of course, here in northeast Victoria. I think after a week of these guys running around on track temperature of 52 degrees at a res, I think they'd be probably enjoying this, I think, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at James Scott, even though he started rear of grid, he's only 4.3 seconds off the race lead, which is pretty phenomenal on a little twisty track like this. But Brendan Hobson out front doing a great job holding off Jacob O'Reilly and Zach Rattray wide at the moment. Scotty Gamble's got about half a dozen car lengths between him and Rattray wide. Looks like Rattray wide just
wide,
made a move. Jacob O'Reilly may have went a little bit deep there.
It definitely went very deep. And change of positions. Or could it be a little bit of team orders? Rattray White thinking he's quicker. Let him have a crack at him. See if he can latch back onto Hobson. As these boys have dropped back half a second in the last 2 laps. And we can see in the background now James Scott latching onto the back of Hobson. And Dave Coleman been in and done his first compulsory pit stop. Drew Coleman style. Try something a bit different with the strategy.
Yeah, the amount of times he bagged up them rears, he probably stripped them down the canvas anyway. So, yeah, Dave always rolls his strategy. Generally does the complete opposite to what everybody else does. If they go early, he goes long. If nobody goes early, he's generally the first one to do it.
Yeah, doesn't muck around with it. So Dylan Rudd caught up a bit as well. These guys have dropped off a little bit. I thought they would have caught Scott Gamble a little bit quicker. It's going to jump back on with Thomas Freeman. He is tracking relatively well. Sitting in 7th, he'd be pretty happy with that. James Scott closing that gap down ever so slightly.
Yeah, bad luck from there from James. Previous lap was a 19.1. That lap was a 20.5. So not sure where he made a mistake, but clearly it was pretty costly lap for him time-wise.
And of course, doing all this overtaking would make hard work on the tyres.
At the moment, Brenton Hobson's still out in front, looking very composed. Don't want to give any commentator's curse to anyone, but yeah, Brenton looking quite solid out front at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say be looking after his tyres, true Hobbo style. A little bit of fuel conservation. And probably having a good old yap to his followers over on his Twitch channel.
James Scott back into the low 19s for that lap, so the previous lap was really an anomaly for him.
Gamble only got O'Reilly a second up the road.
I think for Scotty Gamble it's really just a night of consolidation and enjoy the fact that he's had a very, very solid championship, and apart from last week where he just had a little bit of bad luck, he's just been quite exceptional this season, and yeah, he's driven well throughout the season, and I think tonight he will just look to consolidate his championship position.
Yeah, that would be the go, I think. 1G Gamble starting to get a lot closer. They're using the curve, try and keep it off the wall. Spectating area there where they come out. And up well above the cars, get a good view. Gamble nicely taking it, driving very consistently.
Certainly not going to give anything away to James Scott at the moment. Be interesting to see how long he fights this one.
James definitely latched on behind now. And Rudd in the box seat to watch the battle in front. James still behind. And up the inside. Very tight. And Scott is through. Cost him a little bit of time because Rudd's closed the gap pretty quickly.
A little bit of a pinch break there from Rudd.
Rudd will be trying to get his way through shortly. Latched on the back of the 9.5 Sim Sports entry.
So just in front of these boys, James Scott already starting to stretch his legs on Gamble.
Yeah, he'd be eyeing off O'Reilly. That gap down to a second already.
Driving back a little bit further back in the pack. We've got Stonestreet and Dawson still locked in a pretty tight contest down here in P12 and P13.
Yeah, Dawson hanging on to the back. WK&P Supercheap Auto entry. Troy had a very consistent season for the Super 2 guys.
Yeah, Troy's been one of the big improvers pretty much in every series he's gone to. He's really starting to come to grips with driving the V8's. Had a solid season in the Vets and a good season here at East Coast as well. So, yeah, Troy one of the big improvers of this series.
Yeah, done very well. Ooh, a pinch up there. Gets out okay. Of course, was due for a big battle with Timmy Mulford to finish off the season, but Mulford not with us this evening.
Moving back to the front, Brendan Hobson just opened up a bit of a gap here on Rattray White, where we saw Rattray White get past Jacob O'Reilly a few laps ago, but since that's happened, we thought Rattray White might have closed that gap down a little bit, but the opposite's happened and Hobson's been able to open it up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely giving him a bit of breathing space. Just on my calculations, if you're doing an even tyre split, you're looking about lap 22, 23 for that first stop.
So we're 15 laps down, just starting lap 16 now, so not that far away from that first pit cycle, I don't think.
Definitely coming quickly. As Rudd now latched on the back of Gamble.
Yeah, Dylan not having as much luck getting past Gamble as James Scott did, but just ahead of this group, James Scott is now firmly on the back of Jacob O'Reilly, so it'll be interesting to see if he can get past and how quickly he can get past and whether Jacob makes it difficult for him or not.
There's jump on with O'Reilly. See the Rudd Gamble battle in the background. Of course, Hobson, our race leader, be hoping that these two battle for a little bit. And Dylan Rudd having a little bit of an off there, Mark. Might just go to the Supercheap Auto replay, have a quick look at that. He's locked it up deep going into turn 11. That's cost him a good second or two. Scott puts it up the inside of O'Reilly now and gets the pass done. Next target for the champ is Rattray White, who is 1.3 seconds up the road. Bouncing it off the curbs very well. The car handling those curbs like it's on rail.
Yeah, I was watching James's car earlier, and it just seems to be able to put it wherever he wants, and that does come down to setup, but the majority of it, I think, is just driver skill. He absolutely just puts the car in the right place lap after lap after lap, and it's quite a pleasure to watch.
It's going to go back Stonestreet and Dawson still toe to toe as well.
Dylan Rudd dived into the pit, so he figures that he needs to do something different to try and open up his race with strategy and trying to get a jump on Scotty Gamble. I think that off certainly forced that pit stop on him.
Yes. Probably damaged his tyres a little bit. Probably thinking a 2-lap undercut probably might not hurt him. Get the jump on the Vermeulen boys and Gamble. Have to see how that plays out. Coleman going into the pits as well. Sure what the go is there with DC.
That will be Dave's second stop. Not sure if his first one was a penalty. One we haven't really mentioned much tonight, Aidan Cale doing a great job out there in P9. Him and Joe Mahoney, since joining the series only a handful of races ago, have really come in and come on strong, and it's been great to have them join us here at East Coast, and they're really on the improve, and got a good little team behind them, and Aidan's doing an epic job out here week after week.
Yeah, one of the big improvers in the few races he has done with us, leading the Super 2 contingent this evening. He was the lead Super 2 car last week and the week before, so probably if he'd started the start of the season, probably would have been knocking on the door of the championship, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be fair to say, John. I think the results he's had, the way he races, his commitment to finishing every race and finishing as high as possible without doing anything risky, I think, yeah, you're right, he would be well and truly up there in that Super 2 battle.
Yeah, it's going to jump up the front, and Rattray White now starting to feel the pressure of James Scott behind him. Scott, it's past Rattray White. He then only puts him 2.5 seconds behind Hobson.
Yeah, I'm sure Hobbo's hoping Rattray White's going to put up a pretty big struggle here and not allow James through too quickly.
We'll definitely be looking for that as we come around the tree in the tight, twisty part of the circuit. And Scott now less than 3/10 behind.
One thing we've seen over this season with the pattern of racing we've had, Rattray White just lifts off there and allows Scott through, is James generally gets out in front and gets such a lead he can please himself with his strategy basically, and he's generally the very last car to pit most races. I was thinking if he might possibly dive in early this time round, but now that he's through on Rattray White, I think that's going to change again. I think if he sat behind Rattray White for any number of laps, he might have pitted a little bit earlier and tried to pick up an undercut, but I think that getting past like he has, I think that may change his thought pattern on what he does with his strategy now.
Really kind of got to copy Hobson from here until you get in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm James Scott, I'd probably be trying to pit before Hobson, but always hard to predict. We're on lap 21, so we're nearly at that point where if you're splitting the race evenly, it's time to come in.
Of course, those tyres on that Lobby Sports Speed Cafe entry would have done a little bit more work than Hobson's. Getting a few of these overtakes done.
Unfortunately, Dave Coleman's pulled the pin, so he's out of the race, so that's not going to do his Super 2 Championship any favours.
No. That is a little bit disappointing for Coleman. See what happens with that at the end of the season. But it's probably a fair chance with the Super 2 battle now. Tonkin might be able to get his foot on the podium places. No Fillingham tonight, so definitely creates an interesting battle there for Tonkin to move up. He was only 10 points behind Coleman, so getting a finish here for him will move him up into third position.
Just looking at lap times, John, I'm just looking at Dylan Rudd, who we know came in around lap 19 or 20. He is currently picking up roughly a second a lap on the leaders, between 8/10 and a second a lap. So it's going to be very interesting to see where he comes out once the front runners pit. So especially in relation to O'Reilly, Gamble and Rattray White.
Yeah, I've been watching there. He's had plenty of solo track time around him, so he came out with a reasonable gap, and it's just been turning those lap times around really well. Alan Dawson in the pit lane now at the moment. Or get Stonestreet, so let me see how that battle changes as well. So no, he's looking quite comfortable. Still holding that 2-second lead as he dives in. Scott continues on. Hobson, our race leader, into the lane. Of course, for those playing along at home, Rudd put 15 seconds worth of fuel in. Dawson's only put in 10. Mahoney put in 17. So come back to that when everyone gets their stops finished, just to see where everyone's sitting. Short fuel strat as well from the Rudd might help the equation. And Scott reacts to Hobson, comes in the next lap. And Rattray White and O'Reilly continue on. Gamble in as well. Interesting move. As I think Tom Freeman is in the pit lane. A little bit of confusion. Apologies. Oh, yeah, it's Kratz in the wall in the pit lane. That's something a bit different. Manages to get it going. Delaney just scoots through. That was lucky. A little bit of fun and games there, Mark.
Yep. Yeah, it's always deadly coming into some of these pit lanes. Just thinking on Rattray White and O'Reilly, I know Zach has gone long on quite a few races since he's been with us, and I feel like last week at Jerez he went longer than most people, and it really hurt his race in the end. So be interesting to see how much longer he stays out there and what sort of damage it does time-wise, because as we know, once the tyres start to get used up, or they both enter the lane now.
Yeah, good move. What Vlasbom does, see if he goes with him as well. I was just looking at Rudd's last lap was a 1:19.02. So yeah, definitely 4/10 faster. Stoney, I'd probably expect him to come in as well. So we're seeing them all roll off now. So here's Hobson. He was the race leader before the stops. Let's see what happens here. Rolls back to P1. Holds about a 1.8, 1.9 lead over Rattray White, and Dylan Rudd is in P3, Mark.
Yep, so he's got the jump on Jacob O'Reilly there. Not sure, have to double check the stationary time for the boys, but I imagine there's probably not going to be a lot of strategy come pit length time and fuel wise here. So once again, the undercut very powerful for Dylan Rudd, and he's been able to pick up a couple of spots by just pitting 3 or 4 laps earlier than everybody else.
James Scott went and filled 3 seconds more than most and 6 seconds more than O'Reilly. So James with 18.7 seconds stationary. Hobson was 16, Rattray White 13.3, Rudd 15.5, 13.2 for O'Reilly. So some interesting stop times there. Go a bit further back. Aidan Cale stopped for 22.7 seconds. The long stop. Stonestreet 14.7. And of course, Dave Coleman out of the race, as we talked about earlier.
James Scott gets through on Jacob O'Reilly. A little bit of rubbing of panels there, but nothing untoward. Just put Jacob off a little bit, I think, on the exit. Now James has got his teammate Dylan right in front of him. It'll be interesting to see whether Dylan just allows James through or whether they fight tooth and nail to get up towards the back of Rattray White.
That is the battle there, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think Dylan really has a lot to gain by holding up James. James is one with number one on the door at the moment and looking like he's going to have that number one again at the end of this season, and Dylan just moves across and lets James through. Does the good teammate thing and allows James to get on with his championship race and looking towards trying to get another race win.
Exceptional talent is James Scott, and we are very lucky to see him race week in, week out here with us. And it'll be another case of him saying, just jump in and plug and play tonight. But when you got his track ability and skills, what can you say?
Yeah, I think the amount of racing the V8's have done around here over the last half a dozen seasons at least, I think everybody's pretty well versed on the Winton layout, and I'm sure most people have got a reasonable setup under their belt.
And we might jump on board, watch a lap of James from the cockpit view, full noise. Joy. This makes it look too easy, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at the steering wheel inputs from James, and he's really not too many corrections anywhere. He's just able to place the car where he wants to. Hits pretty much every apex. Throttle control, very, very nice. Same with his brake work. Just exceptional talent, as you said, and clearly got a great setup, but clearly got plenty of talent behind the wheel. Yeah, just watching the wheel work, just so few corrections, it's just nice to watch. So now just looking ahead, Rattray White is closing down Brenton Hobson fairly quickly at the moment, and that gap is as close as it's been all night, I think.
Down to just over a second, under a second now. Rattray White catching quite quickly, actually.
Yeah, I just noticed that when we're on board with the James, just how quickly Rattray White has closed that gap down. Only 10th quicker than Hobbo on that lap, but not sure what the previous lap was. Yeah, certainly I'm not sure if Hobbo made a mistake somewhere, but that gap certainly closed down very, very quickly.
definitely doing that. The other one too, Aidan Cale and Alan Dawson locked in a close battle again. Pony just in front of these guys.
Good side-by-side racing there with Dawson and Cale. Cale getting the job done, and now sets his sight on his teammate Joe Mahoney just in front.
Close eye on that. Dylan Rudd has managed to get himself past O'Reilly now. Slowly working his way through. So, just keeping a bit of an eye on a few of the battles up front. Hobson is still under pressure from Rattray White.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, John. Interesting battle, because when we watched the opening stint, Hobson was able to open that gap up. The longer the stint went on, but this time round, the longer the stint's gone on, Rattray White's been able to close that gap. So the complete opposite of what happened in the first stint is going on in the second stint. So, but that may change very quickly with James Scott coming up on the back of Rattray White now, and this battle may allow Hobson to skate away a little bit unless James Scott makes a move now, which he does.
And gets the job done.
Yeah, that was the last thing Brenton Hobson wanted to see, I'm sure.
Oh, 1.3 second gap to be closed down here.
About halfway through the race now, so we're on lap 33 and a half laps done of 67. So yeah, we're at about 50% race distance, and still a lot to play for, still a lot of miles to run around this circuit.
Definitely still a long way, Mark, as we start lap 34. Just going to go back. We did see Joe Mahoney go off in turn 4. It's going to go back to the replay. Have a look at that one. I think he's done it himself. A little bit similar spot to, of course, Dave Coleman earlier on, and he loses himself 2 spots with that. I don't think he'd be too happy with that happening to him. And Alan Dawson just in front of Aidan Cale now. So these guys still battling down further in the pack. Like a good little tussle between these guys.
Yeah, these boys have been pretty close the whole race, and unfortunate there for Joe Mahoney, just ran a fraction wide, and yeah, that's the problem with this track. You only have to be a little bit offline and you suffer pretty big consequences. You lose a lot of time.
And it's going to go back up the front. James Scott's closed that gap down to a second now. So he's definitely starting to make some moves. And of course, James Scott with a 18 with a 19.52, 19.78 to Hobson. I get the feeling James is going to try and pounce very quickly here.
Yeah, Hobbo doing a solid job, bud. His qualifying and race pace has been pretty good, but James, as we know, once he gets on the back here, it doesn't take long before he intimidates most drivers into an error or forcing his way up the inside and getting the pass done pretty early. But Hobbo is certainly no easy beat, that's for sure, and I expect him to fight tooth and nail for this.
He would be going like a cut cat. Knowing Hobbo. But James taking 4/10 out of him that lap.
Nothing worse when you're in the cockpit feeling like you're driving out of your skin and the guy behind you just keeps taking half a second out of your lap times, lap after lap, and it can be pretty demoralising. But these boys, like I said, they've all got loads of experience, they've all raced each other many times over the years, and yeah, they certainly enjoy the hard battles that come with racing each other.
Definitely. Just thinking Hobbo, coming from a dirt track background as well, be used to racing in close quarters.
Interesting, Troy Stonestreet seems to be just struggling a little bit around Winton Motor. I'm not sure how his strategy's played out at the moment, but generally we see him around the top 10 mark, and at the moment he's sitting in P13, so he's not too far off that, but I generally see him racing around Joe Mahoney and Aidan Cale and them boys, so I'll just have to double check what the pit strategy was and whether he's just a little bit out of sequence with people or whether he's just having a tough night.
I think he's just having a bit of a tough night. I think just knows without Mulford he's just got to finish, so probably thinking of the championship more than the race. He finishes where he is at the moment, he will be our Super 2 champion, so that could be playing on his mind a little bit as well, just driving to bring it home.
Well, that would be definitely the smart thing to do. Nothing to gain by getting a couple of positions further up and ending up in the wall, so probably the smart thing from Troy is just to mind his own business, get it to the end and lock that Super 2 championship up, which will be a nice feather in his cap and a great way to end the season.
It's got now all over the back of Hobson. Although it'd be looking like a swan at the moment, pretty up top, and be a lot of action going on down below. He'd be pedalling really hard, I think, try and keep James behind him. As we see Mahoney heading into the pits for his second stop. Get that out of the way.
It's still a long way from home. That'll be 29 laps on a set of tyres, which is a fair distance around here. The tyres can definitely go that way, but I certainly wouldn't be pleasant to drive come the end of that stint.
Yeah, should feel like very old rubber. And I think your lap times would suffer a fair bit as well. Joe Mahoney into the lane as well. He's got a little bit of fitness issues. He's apologising. He can hardly feel his legs after the weekend of racing. So definitely understandable. As we said, we knew it would have been a long week at Jerez for a lot of guys. And a good drive as well, Joe, at Scops on Sunday night.
Yep, shame Joe's feeling the pinch, but yeah, got to look after your health first. And if you're struggling, you're struggling. The best thing to do is just take a step back, have a breather, and come back next season bigger and better. So thanks for being with us, Joe. It's been a pleasure to watch you race, and look forward to you joining us again for the upcoming season.
And of course, Joe already registered for the season as well. Already got over 35 drivers registered, so of course still a couple of weeks left to register. Much to what someone was saying, that we haven't got any drivers because they don't like what we're doing. I'd probably say we've still got just as many registered for season 11 as we did for season 10 this time around. Just going to quickly run off as James Scott gets the move done. Quickly run off what the calendar looks like for season 11. We've adopted a approach of aligning ourselves with other things again. So round one, of course, is on the 11th of the 6th, so it's only a small gap. And of course we start at Watkins Glen Cup, where we're doing a 175k race. It's aligned with the Pro Series and the official calendar for that week. The following week we're in Fuji with no chicane, which lines up with officials and vets, of course. It's only going to be a 200k race. Detroit is the following round. We're going to do 2 sprint races, and that lines up with officials and Scops. And round 4, Road America, which lines up with officials and Pro Series, and 175k race there. Interlagos, the following round, which lines up with Scops and officials. And then after that we go to Daytona, which same thing again lines up with officials and vets for a night race on the road circuit. Then off to Monza, which lines up with officials and vets, lines up with the Pro Series Grand Prix course there. And then we return back to Sonoma. Sonoma, of course, is the Scops layout on the short circuit. Scops are racing there that week. We then make a return to Interlagos on the 6th of August on the Tuesday night before the first of the race of the Enduro Series for the Pro Series. Round 10 sees us lining ourselves up with the Scops driver vote race, round of Scops where the drivers are voting for the circuit. So we'll see how that one pans out, where that winds up. Round 11 lines up with officials and vets, where we're going to do 2 100k races at Sandown. And then, of course, we finish round 12 following the official calendar again, where we will be racing at Oran Park, Mark.
Wow, I haven't seen the V8's race around Oran Park for quite a while. Of course, spent many a day there when I was a young child with my father, enjoying the likes of Peter Brock, Alan Moffat, Pete Gagan, all them old races in many varied cars, and I used to absolutely love going down there when I was a kid. So it'd be great to see the cars line up around there again.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. And of course running 2 Australian circuits as well next season, and a 12 round calendar again. So definitely good value at less than $2 a race to enter. Make sure you jump in the Discord if you're in our Discord channel and get your entries in there. or for other drivers, anyone watching the broadcast, the entry form link is in the broadcast. So make sure you get involved. It's a good series. We've got something for everybody. It's not just all about pro drivers with our Super 2 and our Vets classes. So it's good practice experience. Driving, of course, with no aids for the car. So you've got to make sure you do everything yourself. So it's good for learning auto blip and stuff like that. And yeah, we usually have larger field, except as we said, I think a few boys a bit burnt out from the end of the vet season and also burnt out from the massive week at Jerez last week in the Australian V8 calendar. And Joe, absolutely love anyone else in the old Race on Oz boys. More than welcome.
Yeah, I think, you see this pattern right across most series. Once it comes towards the end of the series and drivers are not in contention, they do lose a little bit of interest and motivation, but, like John said, there's something for everybody in this series. We try and cater for all levels of drivers. There's the drivers in the Vets and Super 2 series have got their own championship that they're racing, and we've seen a lot of them boys improve out of sight with their driving skill and their abilities, because they're racing against guys who are another level up from them, and you can't help but learn and go quicker once you're out there amongst them boys. So like John said, there's something for everyone. Get your entries in. It's looking like a cracking calendar, great variation, and following officials, Vets, Stops and Pro Series is nothing but a plus for anybody who races them series as well.
And doing some shorter race lengths as well than what we've done this season. I think we did listen to the guys. We did a 250k race. Got told it was too long for a Tuesday night, so definitely winding them back. And Dave Baldock, I can't race, period. And my season results at Vets last season just gone, backs that up with you beating me. So got no comeback for that. As Ty Delaney still circulating, he has Rattray White in front of him, so he's doing really well here. And battling very hard, trying to hang on to the back of him. And as we saw as well, Rattray White did go in and pit early, so that's why he's just in front of Ty. Steve Tonkin heads in.
So interesting, Rattray White is the one that's rolled the dice here this time around, and it'll be interesting to see what sort of undercut he gets and whether it's enough to get him back on the podium.
Yeah,
as we speak, Hobbo's in the lane as well, Dylan Rudd in the lane as well, so this is going to be the battle we need to keep an eye on, just to see where Rattray White comes up in regards to them people.
And he's definitely battling along into the final last two corners. Splash Bomb's rolling through. Yeah, didn't pit. Freeman didn't pit. Hobbo's on his out at the moment. So Hobson's back on circuit. He'll definitely hold his time from Rattray White. Rattray White's going to come in behind, so Rattray White will jump Rudd, O'Reilly, the big loser by the looks. Scott Gamble as well. He's back in ninth. So interesting to see. Dawson hasn't pitted. Stonestreet hasn't pitted, but Cale and Tonkin have. But the man to watch now, I think, probably be Blasbom. He can't afford. He's got to keep his nose clean. And Scott has been left out by himself. Actually, Scott's just gone in. I was about to say Scott's been left out by himself and probably should pit this lap, and he has.
I think we saw James take a fair more amount of fuel than most people last stop, so this is, James should be pretty okay to hold the lead, but Rattray White with that early stop has been able to dislodge Dylan Rudd off the podium, so Just goes to show you, strategy is everything around this track, especially when it's so difficult to pass.
It is not easy, as we're seeing a few more boys peeling off into the pits now. So Scott definitely got himself back out a good 1.5 seconds up the road from Hobson. Hobson sitting comfortably 3 seconds ahead of the Vermilion Charger of Zach Rattray White. Dylan Rudd's about 2.5 seconds back for Lobs Esports. So that's where the battle is at the moment. Scotty Gamble's gone off. Not sure what's happened to Scott. Let's go to Supercheap Auto replay. He's clipped the curb. He's into the wall. Does he get this going? Ew, we got a smoking car. Going to go back to live pictures here.
He goes back to the centre of the track, and yeah, his car has got a blown motor, so going to be interesting to see whether he can get back to the pits. He's certainly going to try. I'm presuming he's still got a fast repair up his sleeve, just allowing all the traffic through so he doesn't interfere with anyone's race. He's probably hoping that he can get going before the car just completely lunches itself.
He's managed to take the shortcut across, so he'll get a hefty slowdown for that as well, but I'm sure won't be worried about that with the car smoking like it is. So James Scott's still our race leader. The motor just blows. Can he roll it into the pits? This will be interesting. It's going to be our entertainment for the night. And jump back on a different camera. Oh, he's holding up traffic with Stonestreet. That's going to hurt Stonestreet's times.
We're just helping Scotty Gamble there into his pit bay.
And Gamble's in his pit bay as well. That's a little bit of excitement for the back half of this race. Going to jump on with Ty Delaney. He is having a bit of a battle here with Aidan Cale up behind him. And definitely a little battle here.
Yeah, I think Ty's just come out of the pit, so he's on fresh rubber. He just needs to keep a clean line here, and I think he should be able to cover Aidan nicely, because Aidan's pitted 3 or 4 laps ago. So Ty definitely with a little bit of a tyre advantage here, and should be able to get much better drive out of most of these exits.
Yeah, definitely looking, I think, with the tyres that are 6 laps younger, could be okay. Going to check on Rattray White. He's got Ruddy coming up behind him. And Dylan closing that gap a little bit.
Sorry, John, I just wonder whether Scotty Gamble had already used a fast repair, because he's still sitting in the lane with the meatball flag against his name. So he may not have turned his fast repair off earlier on in his earlier stops.
That could get him in a little bit of trouble.
Certainly not the way he wanted to end his season, I'm sure.
Of course, need to get 50 laps completed. Or sorry, 51 laps completed. Is to be classified as a finisher. He'll be counting the time down. Bit of light flashing going on there from Zach. Letting the lap traffic of Tonkin know he's coming. Zach obviously feeling the pressure of Rudd behind.
Yeah, these two boys battling for this final position on the podium at the moment. Just up here we've got Brenton Hobson and James Scott in the lead, but Rattray White and Dylan Rudd looking to assert their authority and just take that final step on the podium. So we know Dylan's got good pace in the car, and we know Zach Rattray White's a quality driver as well. So this will be a tough battle for these two.
Definitely working hard.
Scotty Gamble's still sitting in the pit, so probably gonna wait till the last half a dozen laps, I imagine, and just try and get as much repairs done on that car as you can, and then just come out and circulate to try and get to 51 laps to get some points.
Reminds me of my last Vets race at Watkins Glen, where I had to sit in the pits with a meatball and ride out the time, and managed to come out with a plain engine was what I had. Same blade at the time, Bulldog Louise as well. Yeah, went back in getting the engine repaired, went out under the white flag to get that last lap ticked over to classify as a finisher. So you do score a bag full of points if you can do that. So I have to imagine the clock would be ticking for Scott Gamble. Still in Rudd, definitely making Rattray White earn that step on the podium.
Dylan's certainly looking like he has got a better race car under him at the moment, but can he make the move that he needs to do?
No problem with the old Winton layout. Right, it's twisty. Not many spots to make a move. Really got to put the pressure on the guy in front to make the error.
Yeah, there's really only a couple of key passing points, and if you can get good drive out of the previous corner, it is almost impossible to get that move done. So yeah, Rattray White just got to concentrate on them couple of corners where he really needs good exit, and that will make it very difficult for Dylan behind.
Very hard here.
It's looking like it's probably the only real battle we have on track at the moment, so certainly worth keeping an eye on for now. Dylan just falling back a car length or two here at the moment, maybe just trying to rest his tyres for a couple of laps and think about where he can possibly get the move done on Zach. So certainly not an easy place to pass, as we've discussed, but I think, like I said, Dylan definitely looks like he's got a better race car under him at the moment, but Zach doing an outstanding job in just placing the car where he needs to fend Dylan off. We did see earlier on in the race that forced Dylan into an early pit stop where he did make a mistake under brakes. So when you overdrive, we've got a safety car on track. Not sure what's happened here.
Trying to work that one out myself. Is the safety car? That's not Richard. I don't have one on track, Mark. I've got it in pit lane, so.
Oh, I just heard. I just heard race control safety car boards and flags. So.
And flag.
We go late safety car. Safety car still in the lane at the moment, but James Scott is our leader. He is coming through rollover corner. He's knocked the pace off a bit. Not 100% certain what's caused it, but obviously something has triggered the race director to throw the flags out.
Sounding like a competition caution, maybe.
Could be debris, of course, from Scott Gamble's incident. Plenty of debris on the first lap of the F1 on Sunday night.
Yes, there was a fair bit of carbon fibre all over that track after that incident, and quite a
He
bit of
coming out
damage.
or?
I'm not sure what's going on with our safety cars.
But they're calling a virtual safety car now.
I'm not sure what's going on. We'll stick with James. We'll sort it out.
I'm sure the driver is just as confused as we are.
Yeah, apparently there's debris. The debris is a pile of talent that Joe Mahoney left at turn 3. According to Joe Mahoney in the chat. So the guys all virtual safety cars, so event of that, it'll be basically the leader slows down to a set speed. So the cars will catch up.
A couple of boys down the back taking the opportunity to get some fresh tyres. Ty Delaney in the lane again, even though he pitted not that long ago, but he's taken the option to get some fresh rubber underneath him.
And Thomas Freeman apparently bolted in a new boot as well. I didn't realise Thomas had lost his boot. Our pit reporter, Sean McNamara, we're all on it at the moment. Looks like we're going to go one more lap under the virtual safety car. Brought to you today by Speed Cafe, Bob's Esports. Not to forget too that our real safety car is brought to you, of course, by Complete Scaffold. If you ever need scaffolding on the south coast of New South Wales, make sure you give Pete and his team a call. And I believe they're on board again next season for the safety car as well. So great to have them in. So Complete Scaffold Sales Hire and Labour. South Coast. Big thank you to them.
Sorry, John, you go.
There you go.
I was just about to say, yeah, big thanks to Complete Scaffold. Great to have them on board on the safety car. Haven't had a lot of safety cars this season, which is probably more down to the quality of driving we've had rather than anything else. So we're going to go green on this lap. So we've got a few lap cars in between some faster cars. So that's going to make things interesting for people like Rattray White and Dylan Rudd. And then we've got a couple of cars at the rear that have got fresh tyres. So that's also going to make things interesting.
See the last car, Ty Delaney, latching on to the rear of the train. So how far does James carry these boys through? Is the question here. Graydon Kale, how quick do you get yourself out of the way? Because you know it's going to be a bloody fire coming behind you from Rattray White and Rudd. As James carries him through 11 into 12 and carries him around the corner. This is interesting. Going to carry him to the line. Oh, gotta go, son. Gotta go. He's away. Question is, did Rudd get a jump down the back there? I don't think so. Bit of action further back here, 3 wide. Kale gets himself out of the way. Okay, Tonkin takes the grass route. And bit of contact between Rudd and
Retro
White. Might see if we can get that on the Supercheap Auto replay. A little bit of blocking, a little bit of cornering, not much room for Rudd to go. So that was very close in itself. And Rudd redresses the position as well. So a little bit of sportsmanship there at the end of that.
Yeah, I'm sure Zach Retro White is not happy about it because he's been removed from the podium, but Dylan did what he could to redress that, but that has put Jacob O'Reilly back on the podium, which will please Jacob, but probably nobody else.
As Rudd now gets past Retro White and moves himself up now after Tonkin. Stonestreet the next car. Tonkin makes a smart move, gets himself out of the way. He's going to keep an eye on Thomas Freeman as well. He's got through one of the Vermeulen cars, I think that was.
Yeah, Blasbom running wide and coming straight back onto the track. I thought he might have been coming back on and got collected, but he's managed to get back on track and not make contact with anyone.
Big lock up, and of course that into Coates' corner. That was before Coates' corner. It was turn 4. Managed to get control of that one. Very lucky boy with that. It's James Scott. He's already cleared himself out by a second from Hobson behind. Hobson already has 2.5 seconds to this bloke here. Jacob O'Reilly, he's got himself 2 seconds back to Freeman. Thomas Freeman, the privateer, doing a great job here. Pressure tyres on, so keep an eye on him. Ty Delaney, another one with fresh tyres in 5th. Keep an eye on him as well.
We did see on that restart Dylan tried to get the early jump on Rattray White, but had to check himself up because he would have made the pass prior to the control line, so he had to get out of it, and then got a little bit messy after that, and they ended up making contact, I think, at turn 3. So a little bit of a messy restart there, but everybody's managed to stay on their feet and get going in the end.
Yeah, definitely managed to roll through. And Dylan Rudd now latched onto the back of Ratch Glassbomb. Expect a few more moves before the night is out back there. Scott, though, he's going to lead him over the line to start lap 59. Only 9 laps to go. Delaney with those fresh boots. He's hanging on to the back of Freeman. And Glassbomb as well went in for fresh boots. Rudds with old boots. Rattray White with old boots. Aidan Cale with new boots. Stonestreet and Tonkin, the only other ones with old boots down the back. So, and then of course Scott, Hobson, O'Reilly all pitted on lap 44, 45. So Freeman's probably the only one that's going to really have the tyre advantage moving forward from that 5th spot. So just keep an eye on that, as he's only start again. He's only 2.5 seconds back, but we do have lap traffic in between.
Just keeping an eye on Rudd and Blastbomb here, John, as well. Blastbomb certainly under all sorts of pressure from Rudd, and just seeing, we saw Zach go off on the exit of turn 3 earlier after the restart, and he got a little bit squiggly a couple of times on this lap, so definitely feeling the heat from Dylan at the moment.
Yeah, Dylan closing that very fast. Oh, hang on to it. Only just does. Opens the door up for Rudd. Nice bit of respectful driving from both guys there, giving themselves a bit of room. Rudd now puts the nose down and starts thinking about Ty Delaney. Of course, 7 laps tyre difference between him and Delaney, so it may not be too easy to catch him.
Yeah, I'm not sure what, if Dylan has anything hanging over his head from a race control point of view after that contact with Rattray White after the restart, so quite possibly still a little bit of a cloud hanging over the head of Dylan Rudd in terms of penalties at the moment, but I have no official word either way from race control that it's either under investigation or whether there is something afoot to come for Dylan, so all he can do is get out there and go as fast as he can until he hear otherwise.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. And speaking of going fast, last lap for James Scott was a 1:18.95. Hobson 1:19.49, so big time delta differences there. Scott absolutely flying at the moment.
Scotty Gamble has rejoined the race.
He'll be trying to get himself ticked over to that 51 lap mark. So Scotty Gamble on lap 46 on his 47th lap at the moment. So he should have enough if he's lucky. Needs to stay well in front of our race leader. Keep a bit of an eye on Gamble for everybody at home watching. The Gamble, of course, has 2/3 of a track ahead of James Scott, so it will be game on, I think.
Yeah, quite often we do see after you've gone in for extensive repairs like that, that the car is still quite fragile, even though it says it's back to fully repaired. He's still got to be careful the way he drives it, because any type of misshift or something can probably end his race again very quickly, so I'm sure Scott will be aware of that. He'll just tiptoe around to get to lap 51 and get the points he needs to consolidate his championship position.
Well, lap 48 at the moment for Gamble. 62 is the race lap. He should make it. He scores some points, and of course with a small field they will be very, very big, valuable points for the championship.
James Scott, starting rear of grid or second rear of grid, has been able to get to the race lead, and he's now just starting to clear out from everybody, so doing normal programming once again for East Coast and James Scott, but let's take nothing away from Brenton Hobson. He's done a great job tonight, qualified well, has raced well, pretty good strategy, just hasn't had that pace that James has had.
Yeah, definitely doing very, very well.
We've got Dylan Rudd all over the back of Ty Delaney at the moment.
Yeah, Ty definitely working very, very hard doing really well. He'd be pretty happy there, sitting in 5th, up 5 spots. Very, very wise head on young shoulders of young Ty. He's copping a lot of pressure here from Dylan Rudd behind as Zachary Vlasbaum just loses the spot off the circuit to his teammate Zach Rattray White. So plenty happening here in these closing stages. Of course, the late safety car shaking things up a fair bit here. Dylan would be hoping to get a move done.
Yeah, Ty fighting fairly hard. Has got pressure rubber underneath him, but yeah, Ty doing a great job out there at the moment. Just going back with Sweaty Gamble. He's now on lap 50, so he's got to get this one and one more complete, and then he will be able to be classified as a finisher.
As we have O'Reilly off the track. Not sure what's happened. We can see him there. He's losing spots.
Now elevates Thomas Freeman up onto the podium, I believe.
And Rudd takes the opportunity to get past Delaney there as well. And just going to have a look at what happened to O'Reilly. He has come off the curb and got it a little bit loose. So no one else involved. Nicely got the rejoin done without getting in anyone's way.
Yeah, that'll be frustration for Jacob. He would have loved to have finished the season on the podium, but that's all slipped away now.
As we're on lap 65 of 67. Those playing the Scott Gamble game at home, he is about to start lap 50, so he will make it at this stage. So Gamble on his 51st lap.
Yeah, well done to Scott. Easy for people to throw their toys out of the cot after something like that and walk away, but not Scott. He's a real fighter and just took it in his stride and knows he's still got a great position in the championship and was prepared to swallow the pill of making that error and copping the penalty, the self-imposed penalty that he's put on himself, but still getting out there and making his race complete, so he gets some championship points and still hangs on to his championship position.
Yeah, definitely done very well. James Scott here looking very in control. Looking forward to seeing him on the penultimate lap. He'll be in to talk to us soon. I think he has done enough now to wear the crown as our series champion.
So James takes the white flag for the final lap.
And we go back Jacob O'Reilly. He is battling, of course, now with Ty Delaney. We saw Dylan Rudd battle to get past before. Last lap here, unrolling, gravelling. Has a look. Not quite close enough to get the job done. Got a feeling that Jacob might get stuck behind here. A rough night for the Vermeulen boys.
Yeah, probably not a way they wanted to finish the championship, but the big winner, of course, is Thomas Freeman, who's done the Bradbury and done everything right, just mind his own business, circulated, kept it clean, and is looking like he's going to end up on that final step of the podium. So great work from Thomas.
As James Scott comes across to take the checkered flag for the race win and the series. Brenton Hobson home in P2. Thomas Freeman, as Mark said, will take as the privateer P3. Dylan Rudd, good battle, up 11 spots, got himself to 4th. I think he'd be pretty happy with that. And Delaney in 5th, O'Reilly in 6th, Rattray White in 7th. In 8th, we're going to have Zachary Vlasbom. Aidan Cale will lead our Super 2 drivers. And Alan Dawson in 10th. Troy Stonestreet comes home in 11th. That's enough for him to secure the Super 2 title. Steve Tonkin in 12th. I think that will be enough for him to, get his foot on the podium for the Super 2. We'll have a look at that one in a minute. And Scotty Gamble will complete 53 laps. After having a blown motor, that will be enough for Scotty to wrap up the vets. Okay, Scotty, wrap up the vets class as well. So Scotty, I think, would be pretty happy with that. And I think that'll also be enough for him, Mark, to get himself home second in the championship. Been 12 rounds. We've done short rounds previously. We're now down to a 12-round season. I think these boys would be pretty chuffed after a long season. I think they've all sort of got race fit the short seasons, but I think they'll be pretty chuffed after a long season to see the end of it. But I think they'll also be pretty chuffed. I think the fact that they've all raced really well and have done themselves proud this season and their teams. We'll have a chat to some of the drivers shortly when they come in to talk to us. First of all, Mark, thank you for this season, mate. We've been a cracking job working with you again. Really enjoy it all the time. And forward to season 11 as we get closer to that.
Been a great season, John. Massive congratulations to James Scott. Really showed he is the class of the field pretty much wherever he races at the moment. And I think a shout out to Scotty Gamble, carried himself very well. And also the Vermeulen boys, it's been great to have Zach Rattray White and Jacob O'Reilly come in and race with us. They've done an outstanding job. A little bit of bad luck tonight for the boys, but, really, really strong team. And I think they're just going to march forward the longer they race together. So been a great season, had some good battles, right through Super 2 vets, the Pro Series, everybody's raced well, and it's been a really, really good thing to come here every Tuesday night and watch the quality of racing we've had.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed seeing some of these guys really step up. I think moving forward into next season, I think we're going to see some of these names even take even bigger steps. And I think they know that themselves, which will be really exciting to watch. The drivers are getting better. I think shorter races next season will suit a few more of our drivers. Quality we've seen when it's been Pro Week has been very exciting to watch, and looking forward to seeing some of these guys go that next step in the series. Just doing some very quick calculations while I'm talking to you, Mark, and I will bring up 2 seconds the results, all bar any major race control changes, which I don't think there will be this evening, in terms of post-race penalties, which is an apology why we do take time to get the overall results and things out sometimes, is because we have to allow the protest period to fold out penalties and those sorts of things, which gets quite annoying. But we do our best. Very small crew that run this league. But I can safely say, sort this one, done. I can safely say, Mark, that we have on 1,800 points James Scott. Scott Gamble will be second in the series on 16 points. And after that, we will see, of course, a bit of a shuffle in the overall, which will see Jacob O'Reilly finish third on the table. Stonestreet on the overall will finish fourth. And sort of just quickly shuffle through the pro drivers now to get that tallied up. Same thing again. Scott Gamble be second. Jacob O'Reilly, Alan Dawson will finish fourth ahead of Brett Hobson. A very close battle there. Super 2 battle, that's gone all the way down. Was looking like going all the way down to the line, but with no Stonestreet. Sorry, with no Mulford. See Steve Tonkin move into second place. So that's great. So it's Stonestreet, Tonkin, Mulford in that series. I'll show these on the screen very shortly. And of course, going to see Scott Gamble beat Troy Stonestreet in the vets. And quickly drag that down. 2 seconds away here. Got guys waiting to talk to us or not.
Yeah, we have got boys in the green room. But yeah, just quickly, great job from Alan Dawson to finish fourth overall. Troy Stonestreet as well, done a great job. And yeah, for Tonkin to get up into P2 in that Super 2 battle, just goes to show you what happens when you front up every week and you keep it clean and you finish races. So congratulations to them boys.
Yeah, they've all done a sensational job. What we might do now is we might duck into green room and drag a few boys up. I was hoping Scotty Gamble might be in the green room, but we'll bring in everybody sitting in there at the moment and we'll start talking to them. First of all, James Scott, congratulations. P1 tonight, rear to first. You kind of knew what you were getting up to, but you've done it really well. Very classy, not too much of a drama. Must be pretty chuffed with yourself.
Yeah, mate. Bit of a arrive and drive tonight. I know this Scops is here in a few weeks, so I thought, do a couple of laps. The car was horrific in the first stint, but then in the second and the last stint was just really good. So learn a bit for that race, but yeah, no, it was good fun coming from the back.
That's good, mate. Why I've got you in here talking to us with everybody else while we're talking about our race winner, just going to bring up the Pro Series points for everybody to have a look at. And of course, no big surprise there. James Scott, you are our Pro champion and East Coast champion again. I think that's your fourth one now, I think. That's pretty impressive. Scott Gamble, 17.22 in second, and Jacob O'Reilly finishes third on podium for the Pro Series guys. You must be pretty happy with that one, Scott.
Yeah,
James.
yeah.
James. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no. I think number 4. I don't know what it is. But yeah, nah. Happy to wrap that one up. I know it was going to be tough. I missed a few races early on and couldn't afford any bad rounds. But luckily, I think we come away with P1 every race that we attempted, which is good. But yeah, nah. Tonight just started out in quali. It's
Yep.
been a bit expensive fixing all Woggy's engines. So I had to do a cost save.
Yes, Woggy and his engines. Hobbo, P2 tonight, mate. Must be a bit surprised by that.
Thanks, John.
Are you rubbish on it, are you?
Yeah, I am. Apparently, to be fair, I am pretty rubbish a lot of the time, so that's probably fair enough. But yeah, I was surprised to be on the pace in quali. Actually, if anything, I didn't think I'd be very good, but was happy to go on the front row off the start and got a decent launch and try and mind my own business for most of the race and just wait until James caught me, essentially, which was always going to happen. So I tried to lift my pace when he got to me and just turn my tyres into dust, and that was it. So late safety car was interesting and made it a bit fun towards the end. But yeah, no, credit to James, another championship, another race win, all the stuff that we expect from him at this point, because he is the best in this group. So congrats to him and to everyone else who finished on the podium in the championship, and yeah, to everyone else who had a good race tonight.
Of course, yourself missing 3 races, done very well to finish yourself 5th. Happy with that.
Yeah, my championship was pretty much over early on. I think I missed a couple early in the season, and
Yeah,
then
round 1-5.
smoked a motor at Suzuka and had a couple of other dramas along the way. So yeah, championship was never really something that I was particular. I mean, when you race against James, he's so consistent, it's hard to sort of get an eye in and have a chance to beat him anyway. So you know, we're pretty much all coming out here to try and race for second, if anything. But with that said, I wasn't really focused that much on the championship anyway. I mean, for me and my Pro Series commitments and things, I kind of just use the East Coast as a good platform to get laps in the car, because I don't really do much practice or testing and find it hard to be motivated to do that. So the East Coast Series is a great spot for me to come and turn laps and keep my eye in the car. And I think, you know, this series has probably been the main reason why I've had decent runs in the Pro Series this season so far, because you know, it gets me out on track and keeps me up to speed. So that's the purpose of being here, and you know, I enjoy my time doing it. It's good fun and nice to relax. So it's good.
Season got 4 rounds of the Pro Series up inside the season 11 calendar. So big season for you next season, Huffo.
Yeah, well, it sounds like a busy season, not necessarily driving in this series, but away from that. So you know, that'll be a very busy couple of months, I guess. But you know,
Yeah.
it'll be good. It'll be good. Winter, what are you going to do? Go outside in the rain? No, we'll just we'll stay inside and do some laps in the supercar. It'll be fun.
Yeah, and of course, quite a few guys talking already Sunday night about how burnt out they were after the week that we've just had, with sort of everybody being at a res whole week, Scops and Pro Series in the same week. Bit full on for a few boys.
Yeah, I mean, and I do the TCR supports there too on the Friday night. So I had an extra race to everybody else, and I'll tell you what, I know that track pretty well now, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm pretty keen to see the back of it, I'm not going to lie. So if we can avoid too many of those sort of weeks, that'd be excellent.
Yeah, we'll see how we go with that one. Third tonight, of course, we had Thomas Freeman running under a privateer banner at the moment, but you must be pretty happy with that, Thomas.
Yeah, look, I was
Not the privateer banner.
yeah.
I mean the result.
Yeah. No, well, privateer is cool too. I don't know, get to do my own thing, I guess you could say. I was gifted P3 tonight. I don't know. I messaged O'Reilly. I thought he had a wheel disconnect, but it looked like he just got loose on the curb. So I was unlucky for him. And then I'm not sure. I think Ruddy and Rattray come together at turn 3. So yeah, as always, I'll take it. Congratulations to Scott on the win in the championship, and to Hobbo on P2.
Too easy. Before we move on, we'll move on. We'll have a quick look now. Of course, pick it up quickly, but we'll up on the screen so people can have a look at it. And of course, that is the Super 2 result. And as we said, Troy Stonestreet from WK&P Sim Sports is the winner of that one, from Stephen Tonkin from JWM in second. Stephen, we'd be pretty chuffed with that. He turned up, he kept going all night, and he's managed to get himself up to the podium. Tim Mulford will finish third, didn't race this evening, and Dave Coleman, of course, had a very rough trot at the start of the race and didn't score any points. So Coleman falling off the podium and Tonkin going up into second. But of course, Troy, you must be pretty happy to have taken away the Super 2 title.
Yeah, it's good. Bit of a shame that it didn't come down to a race tonight, but even saying that, I had a pretty shit setup and was slow anyway, so I don't know that it would have made much difference. But yeah, no, it's a good season. Had a few good races amongst it, so yeah, had fun. It's good.
That's good. That's what it's all about, letting the Super 2 guys come out, get some experience, race around some of these quicker boys and learn some skills and prove their driving, which we see season to season. seeing guys come out of our Super 2s into our pros and take that next step. Just going to quickly throw up the points. I haven't got Scott Gamble in the chat with us. Going to quickly throw up the points for the vets. Scotty Gamble came home in P1 as expected. He head of Troy Stonestreet, and then of course we had in third place John Fillingham. He didn't race tonight. And sort of Reg and Greg both had mixed up seasons with moving houses and broken feet and things like that. So they'd be pretty happy with that result. Scott, pretty chuffed with that. Stoney, you'd be pretty chuffed with that too, I think. Yeah, so that rounds out all of our points for the season. And we might just close up by running down the list. We might start with you, James. Is anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yep, all the guys at Lobs Esports. I think we've really made the car a lot better from where we were at the start of this year. So it's good to see that we're able to, we've been in this current car for a little while now, so we're all working really well and have made that next step, which seems really positive. But obviously Speed Cafe as well, Ryko Performance, hybrid racing simulations. Thanks to all those guys, you guys for the broadcast every week, and all the race control people and Ash and all those guys who run the series.
Too easy. Hobbo, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, much the same as James. I mean, the guys in the team, they sort of turned up and raced throughout the season. It's always good fun to have a steer with the guys at SSR, so that was good. Obviously the sponsors, Watercraft Performance Center, Dr. Epoxy, Works Racing Components, and a handful of others as well that all help us out. Obviously all the other people that had a steer, it was good fun. It's good to get out there and bang doors with people. And of course, yeah, the league for putting it all on for us to come and do on a Tuesday night. It's a lot of work and appreciate their efforts, and you guys as well for putting on a broadcast and putting in the time to come and do that for us as well.
Too easy. And Thomas, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Just to you boys, the stream, all the league organisers, thank you for a great season. We'll be back for season, what is it, 11, 12, 11?
Season 11, yep.
Season 11, yeah, we'll be back. Yeah, like you said, follows this pro series, so I mean, good practice for me, and like Hobbo said, gets us back in the seat and gives us a little bit more motivation to come and get it done. And I know Mum and Dad are watching the stream and the broadcast, so thanks to you boys for the broadcast. We appreciate it.
Too easy. And Stoney, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, definitely you guys for putting on a good show and yeah, giving us the opportunity to get out and do what we enjoy doing. So also Wodonga Carts and Parts and the WK&P team. Been enjoying myself since joining a few months ago. Chubby Buns, new sponsor, Supercheap Auto, Rebel Sport, BCF, MacPack, Cool Guys Adelaide, Borelli Cabinets, LGC Images, Dave 37 Racing, and Warboys Motorsports. Like to thank Blake. I've been getting a few tips off him of late. He's definitely been good fun to bounce off, and Send It, Don't Bend It, and Amp Air. That's a bit of a list, but thanks to all them guys, and yeah, thanks to all the other races, and it's been a fun season.
Too easy. Congratulations again, mate, on the Super 2 win. And of course, the other bloke we want to thank, he's jumped into the box with us, is our Chief Race Controller, Richard Varela. Big thank you to you, Rich.
Thanks, Johnny. The season was actually pretty good and very impressed with the driving standard.
Too easy. It's always good when the Chief Steward's happy.
Absolutely. Like, there's very little penalties we put out, so which means the driving standard was very good. So awesome stuff.
Too easy. And of course, next season you'll be back as well for season 11, which is only going to be starting in 2 weeks' time. So, as I said before, a big thank you to you as well, Mark, for putting in as well.
Pleasure, John. It's been, like Richard said, it's been a great season, very clean driving. I know Richard has the penalty sheet's been pretty light on most weeks, so just goes to show you the quality of the racing we've had, and it's been A pleasure watching the boys get out there every week, and we've been blessed with some very, very talented drivers out there, and it's always fun to come and watch.
Anyway, on that note, if you haven't entered for season 11, entry forms are available on Discord. Get it to you, and of course, be back again for season 11. See everybody again on track at Watkins Glen on 11th of June. Later.
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name. Well, technically it's our first.